Hi, how are you?
Doing good. The comparison of Trump to that dude is kind of extreme, don't you think?
Why do you think that I would think if I'm doing it?
Like, so it's kind of
Why do you think that I would
inconsiderate
think
to
if I'm
All
doing
right,
it?
so it's kind of inconsiderate to towards history. Like a lot of women, like y'all women don't take war seriously. So one man was a tyrant of history, and another dude is a politician. So
You think
how are
that
they?
the H man wasn't a politician?
Huh?
You think H man wasn't a politician?
I mean, the H man was like 37 when he passed, right? This dude, Donald Trump, is like 78. So one guy is a senior citizen, and the other guy is like middle aged.
Well, don't you think that somebody more towards the end of their life would have a lot less to lose in pushing things that they don't have to worry about that they'll see the ramifications from?
Senior citizen people are like harmless though.
All right, I if you believe that, that's perfectly fine. I don't know how to change your mind on that. Uh,
You're
yeah.
literally comparing a 40-year old to a 78-year old. A
What is
78-year
the
old.
what does their age have to do with
Are,
the
are you
the
are you talking
similarities of
about
their actions?
are you talking about the human body's exploration date? It's like food.
Listen, Enrico, go back, go back. Help me understand how a person's age has anything to do with their actions or the
Do you
things.
think a 78-year-old can accomplish what the H man did at 78?
You think that repeat that one more time. I'm so sorry.
Do you think so? That Donald Trump can do what Adolf? I mean,
Not the H man.
Adolf did at 78 years old.
I mean, I feel like we're clearly seeing that he is. We're absolutely following in lockstep with the exact same rhetoric, politics, timeline that H man did. I mean, think about some of the things you're saying. Like you are you saying that he's too old or too, you know, weak or
Yeah, he's old.
incapable? He's
I used to work
incapable.
in a nursing home. Trust me, um, older people are angels. They not doing nothing. They on their way off the earth.
Hey, my grandfather had Alzheimer's, so I spent a lot of time in a memory care unit, and a lot of those people are awful. They're terrible people, and you start to see like their true colors. I was lucky that my grandfather, he just turned into just such a sweetheart. He was such a baby. But yeah, that wasn't his neighbors. So I mean, I appreciate that you can live or fall back on your lived experience and that it sounds like it was wonderful and you had great interactions with these beautiful. I love the elderly, but I mean, I just don't think that they're incapable. I think it's sad that you would actually give them a lot less agency than I would. I think he's fully able to achieve the same level of harm and chaos that this guy caused, and I think we're well on the way to seeing that. But I mean, honestly, let's say that you're right. Let's say that uh, that Trump's unable to do that. You think that Stephen Miller and Chung and Pat and Bondi and Hegseth and all the people around him aren't fully capable in their own rights of causing havoc in the government and in America?
Yeah, well, the beautiful thing about America is you only get 4 years at a time. So they're the tyrant dictatorship that um that's capable of what happened in Germany will never happen because
Okay.
4 years ain't you barely can get a law passed.
Do you
So
know how long it took H-Man to completely topple the democracy that was the Weimar Republic?
it took
50,
like it took
53
20
days.
years.
53 days, sir.
No, it didn't.
53
First of all,
days.
you're a woman. What do you possibly know about World War II?
Oh my gosh. Listen, I'm gonna grant you that, let's say you're right, and Trump is fully senile and incapable of doing anything. You know what? That's fine. If you think nothing is
Hold on.
no,
What does a
no.
woman know
If you
about
think
what?
nothing is coming,
What
nothing is
does a woman know about World War II?
if you think nothing is coming and nothing is happening, then I'm happy for you to stay in that illusion. I just think this isn't the place for you. I appreciate you coming on, but I don't see that your attempts to try to convince me that we're not in a fascist dictatorship at this juncture would be effective. So I'm happy for you to jump off and jump on somebody else's live, because
What?
I don't think this is the
But
place.
hold on. Now you're kicking me off.
Have I kicked you up?
You can't even
I'm
have
inviting you to
you
step
can't even have a
down.
World War II
Really, that's what I
conversation
want.
and you're kicking somebody off.
This is
Well,
not what this show is. This is not a debate show. This is not a show about World War II. This is a show just to give you the headlines, the actual news that is going on from the future, because I live 5 hours ahead of America. So
you can't listen. First of all, what you're doing is illegal. You can't put a picture of Adolf next to our president of the United States. It looks crazy what you're doing.
okay, come stop me. All right, friend. I see we have another guest who wants to come up, so we'll chat with you at some other time. Hope you follow and keep watching if you like. Hami, I saw that you were wanting to come up, but you just dropped. That's okay. I'm gonna jump back into the news of the day. And just to let you know, I'm streaming to other places as well. So sorry if I have moments where I'm trying to switch back and forth a little bit here.
Okay. Thank you, YouTube, and whoever else is watching from there. All right, so if you're watching on TikTok, unfortunately, I'm unable to show my visuals, but if you're watching anywhere else, YouTube, Kick, Twitch, whatever, Rumble, then you're able to see the actual news reports. But I will, of course, fluidly try to explain what I'm showing. Again, I am Sophie of standwithsophie.com. I have a website that has survival guides, that has live trainings. We have phone shortcuts, all kind of things to help you just stay ready in the event that things really do pop off. Really do pop off. Or if something as simple as like the whole issue with the energy in Northern America because of the Canadian conflict, if that had gone down. I have things to help you stay prepared in the eventuality that your utilities are disrupted or that the internet is disrupted. We have all kinds of severe weather incidents that are happening in the middle of the country that are, being harder to track due to some of the things that Trump is doing, and the agencies that he's dismantling. And so, again, standwithsophie.com, I have gear lists and survival guides to help you in any eventuality due to us being in the Fourth Reich. And thank you for the taps. I really appreciate that. Follow, share if you don't mind. Definitely want to let as many people know who are awake at this hour in America the news from the future. Cry Widow says, people that don't know anything true about H-Man. Okay. I don't know what you're referring to, but I am a student of history. So, yeah, I mean, we're in lockstep. Where do you think fake news came from? Where do you think Make America Great Again came from? We have to really understand what's happening here. So, the news of the day, we talked about how Adriana Smith is still being used as an incubator for her unborn child. She is brain dead. She has been brain dead for 111 days. But here we are. NPR has actually done, a couple days ago, they did a really great article kind of just summarizing what's happening. and how what's happening in Georgia and the fact that fetal personhood laws are creating situations like this are just the tip of the iceberg for what's coming in America. It's also echoing a lot of Jessica Valenti's work. Please follow her, find her on here. She's amazing. She has a newsletter called Abortion Every Day. And every day she puts out an incredible article just to kind of update you on the status of the different laws, of the tactics that the forced birth movement is trying to do. So please check her out, Jessica Valenti. In other news, that's the hottest topic of the day is the events that are happening in LA, the protests that are going on in LA. Basically, we're in the third day of protests against basically ICE ramping up their immigration efforts in LA. So there's also the outskirts of Paramount and some other small towns that are involved in this. The real funny thing is that Newsom, California, they're fully capable of managing this situation, but Trump has basically sent in and federalized the National Guard against California's wishes. They're like, look, we got this. And he's like, no, we're going to bring in the National Guard. And then he said, thanks to the National Guard for stopping all these riots and stuff when they hadn't even gotten on scene. So as of Saturday, he was thanking them, and they didn't even mobilize until Sunday. So it's just been silly. It's just silly. So the reason that he's doing that, they have the Marines on standby and stuff when the city doesn't, the state doesn't even want them there, and they're actually calling for them to remove the National Guard. It's just for spectacle. So again, this show is, I'm here to try to hopefully interpret the headlines so you can understand just how they're fitting in with the same patterning as this guy. And it's the exact same thing that we saw just a few weeks ago, a couple weeks ago in Seattle. They're instigating and escalating events to make it seem like there's so much more angst and so much more of a need for federal intervention when that's just not true. I don't know if you recall how Seattle's situation played out, where they the mayor of Seattle, or the whoever gives the grants protesters their permit, placed a very anti-trans, anti-LGBTQ Christian organization. They placed their protests in Capitol. Where was it? Capitol Hill, in the Capitol Hill district at Anderson Park, Cal Anderson Park, which was a very LGBTQ heavy place, and so that was their first mistake. But then they actually okay, they did that, and then they had all these protesters come out, and then they started to put a police presence there to stop the protesters who were protesting these anti-LGBTQ fake Christians, and they arrested 23 of the people who were just protesting the Christian, hate group. And so it just got out of control, The very next day, the Christian group felt like they were being targeted, and they were upset with the mayor for not taking the whole situation more seriously, they said. And so then they, without a permit, blocked the Capitol building and in Seattle and City Hall, and they protested in front of City Hall. So of course the anti hate groups, the counter protesters came out and were protesting that these people are blocking City Hall, that they're pushing anti-trans and anti-LGBTQ rhetoric. And again, the police presence comes down hard on the actual people who are against the hate that was going on. So it's just all that to say that what happened is you have this group who is very like Project 2025 coded. Heritage Foundation coded, out here trying to cause a ruckus. And they did so successfully. And so it's just sad that you know that any kind of law enforcement, military presence is always going to be on the side of the more white Christian nationalist groups. And we're seeing this same exact thing happen here with the ICE thing. And another thing I want to kind of lift up is just looking back at history. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of a gentleman named Lawrence Dennis. Lawrence Dennis. Lawrence Dennis was basically this pro Nazi group guy out of America. He was an American Nazi. I don't know if I can say that word. And he actually pushed, the far right party in America very heavily to support H-Man in World War II. And so what's so funny is we're seeing echoes of history in how Lawrence Dennis was a huge like college protester. He would always go to speak at college campuses and always cause these events that caused so much spectacle because he wanted protests. He wanted the students to either, of course, be kids that he could protest or debate and try to act like he won, kind of like people we see like Tim Pool, kind of like Charlie Kirk. And so then also, hi, thanks for the taps, you guys. Hey D, hi. So we're seeing that echo of history today and how these podcasters and influencers who are very far right only talk to college students. I don't know if you see those jubilees where they're all kids, trying to talk to these grown ass men who are very disingenuously debating them, and then claiming that they won because they have the larger platform and can control that narrative. It's silly. But furthermore, Lawrence Dennison pushed a huge, and I'm talking huge, NAZI rally at Madison Square Garden in New York. And it was just like the icing on the cake of his efforts to basically try and rile up people to protest. And there were protests. In fact, there was quite a few protests outside of Madison Square Garden. This is in 1939. Yeah, 19 in February 1939. And so you saw people like outside protesting. There was a black man who got inside. Isidore Greenbaum, that was outside. What is the guy's name? There was another gentleman, Greenstein, and he was protesting. And there was I don't think it was a black man. Oh, I have to look up my facts here. But there was a gentleman who literally got beat up in Madison Square Garden, and they were cheering it on and everything. So saying all this to say, you got to look back at history. You got to understand that this concept of making incidents out to seem worse than they are, calling in a militaristic or law enforcement presence when it's not necessarily needed, also trying to really exacerbate your opposition, so riling up the left in this instance or in all these instances, so that you can fight them and try to push your cause and act like, oh, there's so many people against us. It's exactly what's always been happening in America in regards to how fascists, achieve their agenda and achieve their aims and make it look like they are, so oppressed and so valiant in their efforts to push their agendas, essentially. So, saying all that to say, he said it's irritating today because they won, and they're that is exactly right. Like, and so it should tell you something that, like, the guy who just came on and they sound so angry and they're so upset. Like, why are you mad? You won. This is what you wanted. If you don't believe me and you don't think that we're on the same path as H Man, and you don't think that America's in trouble, you don't think that something's coming, fine, enjoy. I wish I was in this bubble of happiness and believing that everything was great. Wouldn't that be lovely? But it's just history shows us a difference there. History shows us that we're on the worst timeline. We live in a boring dystopia. Things are going to be bad. They are bad already, but they're going to get worse. And so, one of the good things about looking at what happened in 1939 with the Madison Square Garden Nazi rally is that there was so much protest that it seemed to work. Um, that was kind of the beginning of the end of the Nazi party in America, which is, until recently anyway, which is kind of good. So hopefully, we had those hands off protests. They ain't do shit, but whatever. Okay, it's nice to see that people are trying. It's nice to see people railing against ICE. It's nice to see that there's all this sentiment against Trump. There's the Seattle thing. It's nice to see. Hopefully, it makes a difference, but we'll see. Yeah, they're trying it in LA right now. That's what we kind of led with how they're basically trying to bring the Marines in and send in the federalized and send in the National Guard so they can make this whole thing out to seem like it's the right is under attack, and Trump who is given this mandate to get all these people out, is just doing his job, just doing what the American people wanted. And oh, look at the left, they're so against him. Look at these immigrants, they're so against what he's trying to do. And yeah, it's just PR. It's the whole no news is bad news thing. And so it just got to, again, look to history, understand what's going on. Yeah, now they're going to be sued. But I guess, when it comes to like suing and waiting for elections and trying to use this very broken system to right wrongs that the system itself created, I just feel like we're so far beyond that. I was saying the other day, like, America is basically Wile E. Coyote. America is essentially has run out on a cliff, and it's looked down and it's realized there's nothing under us. There's nothing there. But we're in that point between the click, the realization, and the fall. Like we're not standing on anything, but people are still going to work. People are still paying their bills, paying their taxes. I don't know why, but they're still paying their taxes. People are still applying for jobs, and life is still life, and they're still sending their kids to school, but as essentially there's nothing to stand on. There's no America anymore. There's no constitution anymore. There's no legal system anymore. Like, shit is just done. And so yeah, I hope I'm wrong. I'm absolutely hoping that we look up and there's midterm elections and they actually happen and they're not canceled like this guy did, and things move forward in our country. That'd be awesome. But I just think, again, we have to look to history and understand that we are not only off of the cliff, but we're just seconds away from free falling. And so that's just my kind of look back to history when it comes to the whole LA riots. Recent history too, looking at how they managed Seattle and how that was used as, again, this like PR instance for hate groups essentially. So let's move on with some more news you can use. So today, actually, no, I'm sorry, on Friday, the Supreme Court basically gave Doge access to Social Security data and let the team continue to shield their records. So not only do they now have access to all Social Security data, which is fine with the Supreme Court now, but they don't have to tell anybody what they're looking at and the documents and records that they have and that they have access to. And so it's just absolutely insane to me. So it says, as Elon Musk leaves Washington, the team he formed to ferret out waste and abuse won dual victories in the Supreme Court, essentially to, again, to access Social Security data and let their team shield their records, which is insane to me. And again, it just points to the fact that the judiciary is in full control of the executive branch is in full control of the judiciary. we've already seen how the legislative branch doesn't even matter anymore. So that's why another reason when people say, "Oh, we have midterm elections and Democrat," has Trump actually used the Congress that he fully is in control of and that the Republicans are in full control of? Has he actually used them for shit? I mean, I know he's trying to do the big beautiful bill and all that, which is just insane to me. Of course it's gonna pass. Of course it's gonna pass because the legislative branch is fully controlled by Trump and the executive branch, and so now we're seeing, of course, the judiciary is also in their pocket. So that's why I say, like, we're so far beyond constitutional crisis. We are absolutely in a dictatorship officially. Like, it's, there is only one branch of government at this point. So yeah, so that happened. Furthermore, as here's more evidence of us just being in a freaking fascist government. ABC News suspends Terry Moran after the Trump administration condemns his Twitter post where he said that Trump and Stephen Miller are haters. He called them haters. And then he took it down because he was like, you know what? I'm getting a lot of pushback. He took it down, and he still is now being suspended by ABC News. This is the man who actually just interviewed Trump, and he literally just said that they are world class haters. That is it. That's enough for you to lose your job as a journalist, as a world class journalist, for these world class haters. Yeah, that's enough. And so when we talk about history rhyming and history repeating itself, that's one of the main things that H-Man did, was go after journalism and journalists, and go after the media, and move everything to state controlled media. And so it's just absolutely insane to me that they were allowed to do this. And this is on the heels of all the what's her face, Joy Ann Reid losing her show, I think, and um, just all these other people who are having to pay back money for these erroneous claims that Trump is making. Media institutions not being allowed into the press corps. Like, it's just, we're fascists, y'all. We're the baddies, okay? So in international news, gosh, I know we've been talking for the last week about Greta Thunberg and her second attempt to try to get a flotilla of aid to the Gaza Strip. Unfortunately, just today, they did not make it. His real intercepted their aid ship and has detained all of the activists aboard, the 12 activists aboard, including Greta Thunberg. And so they have also seized all of the aid, which included milk, which included baby formula. They've seized all of the aid, talking about, oh, we'll distribute it through humanitarian organizations, but they have not been distributing anything. And in fact, they have been targeting and spamming. I don't know if that's helping. They've been schmurdering people at aid sites for like the past week, to the point where the U.S. humanitarian Gaza humanitarian groups or whatever had to stop their aid efforts because it was just getting people schmilled, unalived, whatever. And so like 27 people got unalived at the on last Tuesday from at the aid where they were trying to get aid. And so that's why the next day, that Wednesday, they shut off, giving aid altogether. And so now you have Greta Thunberg and her group trying to break this blockade to get some aid to these people who are starving. Like, when you see the pictures of these kids, it is absolutely devastating. And so I absolutely am just really saddened to hear that her efforts were unsuccessful, and that it there's really nothing that we can do. There's nothing anybody can do to help these folks. And so it's just devastating. It's really devastating. Um, yeah, so that sucks because we've been following this story for the last week, and I was very hopeful that at least, this could shed a light on just how evil his real is being. And they're trying to say that all of this is due to, anti-Semitism when it's not. It's just, it's literally, it's a, it's like a nationalism thing. It's not a religious thing. Nobody gives a shit that you're Jewish. We give a shit that you're basically perpetuating a genocide. And so, yeah, so that sucks because we've been following that story. So we'll continue to follow it and see what happens. In more international news, this one I wanted to share just because I think it's one of these things that, again, speaks so much to H-Man and where we can see America heading. So Iran has just expanded their dog walking ban. You can't walk your dog, and you can't transport your dog by car in Tehran and in 18 other cities in Iran. And this isn't anything new. They've already had where Tehran has blocked basically dog walking in the capital since like 2019. But now they've expanded that. They feel that dogs are unclean. It's very much their attempt to try to stop Western cultural influence. And so the reason I wanted to lift it up is because literally, Vox has also just reported that Christian nationalists have decided that empathy is a sin now. So literally, literally the groups that are behind Project 2025 and Heritage Foundation are deeming empathy a sin. And so what does that have to do with Iran? Iran is a theocratic state. Iran is run by the Ayatollah Khamenei, I think it is. And yeah, so ever since 1979 with the Islamic Revolution, they have been a theocracy. And that is precisely where America is heading. That is precisely where America is heading. We have a new religious cabinet in Trump's administration. We have this whole push to bring religion back to schools, even though the Constitution deems a separation of church and state. It's just disgusting, and also the fact that all of the people who essentially have funded and gotten Trump into office are getting their just rewards. Everything in Project 2025 is coming to pass, and the very crux of Project 2025 is turning America into a theocratic state like Iran. It's just a different religion. It's not going to be Islam. It's going to be Christianity. And they're very perverted and bastardized view of Christianity, a Christianity that says that empathy is now a sin. So it's absolutely insane. Oh yeah, Project 2025 is in the room with us right now. It absolutely is. Have you not seen how they fired all these government workers? Have you not seen how they've pushed all these forced birth laws? Like, it's literally insane that you would act like it's not something that's happening when that's what you voted for, Roman. That's what you voted for. Johnny, I'm sorry I missed some of your comments. It says that, um, oh, thanks for the follow, Marion. It says January 6th, 0 cars were burned. We will protect our city. Okay, disrespecting our military line, that won't end well. I don't understand how I'm disrespecting the military by saying they shouldn't be used inappropriately. They shouldn't be federalized. The National Guard shouldn't be federalized against the state's wishes. That is horrifying. The Marines shouldn't be called in to handle a city riot when they're not being asked to. What kind of a use of force is that saying? I think that's absolutely disrespecting our military more than anything. Somebody said January 6th, 0 cars were burned. As if the Capitol building wasn't bombarded and didn't have windows broken out, as if there wasn't shit on Nancy Pelosi's desk, as if they didn't have a gallows put up in order to literally unalive our vice president at the time. Ask yourself why he's not on the ticket. Why do we have JD Vance? What happened to Mike Pence? Yeah, let's talk about that for a little bit, Johnny. But that's it for the news. So again, just let's keep an eye on the fact that history is rhyming. It's fully trying to repeat itself, and I don't want that to happen. Again, I absolutely hope that I look up in a few months and it's like, oh wow, Trump actually is working on the economy. He's actually doing some of the things he said. He's got grocery prices reduced, and oh my gosh, look at that. We have these we have right, Rick? We have these amazing wars that have ended, and oh, we've gotten full control over the situation in Gaza. Wouldn't it be amazing if that war were ended? Like I wish Trump would do literally 1% of the good things he ran his administration on, or ran his uh attempts to be elected on. I can't think right now, I'm sorry. But yeah, it just absolutely insane. So KG says, sad you're doing this for clicks. Yeah, please click, click, click away. Keep tapping. Oh, I have 1.5 taps. Thank you guys. I really appreciate that. Yeah, keep clicking. Make sure you follow. We want him to stay out of other countries' business. Yeah, I agree. I would love for him to focus on America and stop with the tariffs and stop trying to mess with Canada and Greenland and Mexico. Yeah, I wish he would stay out of other countries' business as well. Thanks, KG. So just as a quick, uh, just so you know, again, I'm Sophie of standwithsophie.com. If you're like me and you see what's happening and you want to stay ready so you don't have to get ready, go to my site. I have survival guides. We do live trainings. We have phone shortcuts, action cards that you can print out in multiple languages, all kinds of stuff so that we can stay prepared in the event that shit goes down. If it doesn't, how awesome would it be to have some extra camping gear, to have a plan in place, to have contingencies that you're ready for, and if you don't ever have to use them, how wonderful would that be? And thanks for tapping, I appreciate that. Hi, wireless. Oh my gosh, you guys, follow this woman, follow her now. She is such an angel. I love her. Her whole platform is about decentering men, understanding and dismantling patriarchy. So I feel like she's always been in lockstep with my sentiments. And so for these people who are, oh, thank you. She said my hair is tea. Thank you. I had to do the pineapple real quick. I feel like my curls, they're starting to, I appreciate that. Thank you for noticing. I really appreciate that. But yeah, follow the wireless woman, everybody. She's incredible. And she and I are working on something. So keep an eye out. Keep an eye out. Make sure you follow. Make sure you follow me as well, so that we can, let you know our big plans. We have some stuff brewing, and yeah, we want all the clicks for it. KG, keep clicking. So yeah, so I have a website, as you can see if you're on YouTube or Twitch or wherever else you're watching from. Sorry, TikTok, I can't show you just yet, but we'll work on that. And so I have a survival guide that you can get for free. Literally just sign up and you can get this for free. And then if you are capable and willing and wanting to support financially, there are plans that you can choose, which get you even more perks and even more lists and guides and access and secure comms and things like that. But that's me, standwithsophie.com. And yeah, that's it. So as we come to a close, I will do my spiel or kind of a recap of all the news just so I can put this out in like a little 3 minute segment for my um, followers. So make sure you're following. And yeah, so once again, I am Sophie of standwithsophie.com. I have survival guides. Thank you. Oh my gosh. Thanks for joining the club again. I appreciate that. But yeah, I am Sophie of standwithsophie.com. I have survival guides, live trainings, printable action cards, secure comms, so much more. Just to make sure that we can stay ready so we don't have to get ready. And so I was lucky enough to escape the United States. So because I live in the UK now, I am 5 hours into America's future. I'm able to give you guys the news from 5 hours ahead of y'all. So just to let you know what's happening today in the Fourth Reich, Adriana Smith is still being used as a human incubator for her unborn fetus. It is 111 days into her being held in a Georgia hospital, even though she's brain dead, and her family doesn't want this. But they have stated in a new NPR article that is really comprehensive and really good that they're going to love their grandson and take care of him, even if he's in a wheelchair, even if he can't talk. It's just beautiful that they're excited to meet him, even though the whole situation is absolutely fucked. So there's that. Of course, the big news is about the LA riots, which were really they were quite peaceful protests until things got exacerbated. Basically, the people in LA are protesting ICE coming in and basically kidnapping people and going to schools and actual like immigration facilities where people are going to get their it would happen in Georgia exactly, but where people are actually going to their immigration meetings. They're getting people and snatching people who are doing the right thing, who are not criminals, and from places like Home Depot, especially. This is where what all this kind of popped off in Paramount, California. Basically, people who are going to work and trying to find work. So how are these criminals? How are these the dregs of society that we're trying to get? So because they're protesting it, they're on the third day of protests today. The president, even though California said we got it, we can manage this just fine, the president has federalized the National Guard to go into California and try to stop these protests. And what's so funny is on Saturday, he basically put out a post that was like, "Oh, thank you, National Guard, you're doing such great work for stopping these riots." And they didn't even go. They didn't even go out there until Sunday. So he's literally just it's all performative. It's all PR. Hegseth has the Marines teed up in case they need to go out there. I think they actually have like 20, like no, it was like 2,000 National Guard members, and they have I don't see the number, but they do have like the Marines ready to go out and just be there because it's all under control. Everything's fine. Gavin Newsom has actually requested that they take the National Guard away, and he's accusing the Trump administration of overstepping, which they are, because isn't it a states' right? Isn't it state? I thought we're all about states' rights. I thought we're all about states' rights. I guess not, because again, Trump has federalized the National Guard. Hi, Bree. And so, oh, thank you. so, so yeah, that's what's going on in LA. Again, I was just talking a little bit about how it's echoing the same sentiments of the Seattle protests that happened a couple of weeks ago, to where they're just needling people and then creating like a huge law enforcement and military response in order to make things look so much worse than they are. It also, to me, is mirroring how the American Nazi Party behaved in 1939, and how its leader, Lawrence Dennis, actually used the no news is bad news rhetoric to try to advance the American not see party here. And so we're seeing so many echoes. It's insane. Hi, hi, hi. Yeah, you can kind of see her a little bit. Yeah. Hi, Brianna. And so, yeah, just keep an eye out for that because the past is echoing, the rhymes are rhyming, okay? In other news, the Supreme Court granted Doge access to Social Security data and said that they can shield their records. They have no problem with them not sharing what it is that they've procured, how they're using it, what they still have, what they've taken out of databases, what they've had access to in databases. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. So absolutely insane. Also, ABC News has suspended Terry Moran after the Trump administration condemns his post where he said, let me check my notes, they're world-class haters. This man lost his job because he called the president and Stephen Miller world-class haters. And he took it down. He took it down. And they didn't care. He is suspended. He's the one who actually had an interview with Donald Trump, which got some contention because, of course, Trump was an idiot and he looked like one. So, again, how are we not how are we not following in H Man's footsteps? I swear to God. In other news, we've been following Greta Thunberg and her Freedom Flotilla as they were trying to get to Gaza with aid that includes milk and protein bars and baby formula. They have just been intercepted by his reel and they have confiscated all of the aid and they're saying that they're going to distribute it through humanitarian methods, but we all know that's bullshit. And it's just horrifyingly sad to me that they are not letting these people get help. They are literally in front of our eyes committing a genocide, and they're blaming it on anti-Semitism when everybody knows it's a nationalist thing. It's not a religious thing. Nobody gives a shit that you're Jewish. We just are like, hey, please stop killing people and starving people. Can you do that? Thanks, Brianna. Thanks for joining my team. So it's just again, just incredibly sad because we've been following the story, hoping that at least one person can get through this blockade that they've had on these folks. Um, so that's pretty devastating. Also, I lifted up how Iran has expanded their dog walking ban, which might seem like innocuous, kind of random news, but to me, I think we're seeing the ridiculousness of theocracy and the fact that Vox has a really great story about how Christian nationalists have now deemed empathy to be a sin. Like, empathy is a sin. So fuck Jesus. Fuck all that. Christian nationalists view empathy as a sin. And the fact that Project 2025 is underway, the fact that, thank you guys, the fact that, yes, the fact that we have a theocracy on, in the sidelines, like any day now. We have the Heritage Foundation and Voight and all of them trying to make America a Christian theocracy. So we can see just how ridiculous it sounds that Iran would ban dog walking because they don't like dogs. They think they're unclean in the Islamic religion. Luckily, the citizens were like, I don't give a shit. We're gonna walk our dogs. Fuck you. And so that's nice to see the opposition there. But we again, if we stay ready, we don't have to get ready. So if we don't allow a Christian theocracy to take place or to come into effect, we won't have to worry about empathy being deemed a sin. So then our attempts to send aid to Gaza won't be ostracized. Our attempts to stop ICE raids from taking a pregnant mother, like the Guatemalan lady Erica, that they literally snatched out of her hospital bed after she had her little girl. Like literally, if we can stop all this bullshit now, we won't end up in a place where again, they can just pull some ridiculous stuff just because they say God says this. So that's it. That's the news of the day from the future. I want to thank our guest that came on, even though he was clearly a troll. I hope that it just shows people, like, there are ops out there. You can't trust everybody. So make sure, again, go to stanwithsophie.com. We have ways to help you build phone trees and have phone shortcuts so that if things pop off, it goes right to the right people. They'll know your location. It'll start filming. We have things to help you identify who you can trust or not. And so that's something that I think is so important because there are ops. There are ops. And so that's it for me. Thanks for joining. I will put out my little 3-minute highlight for you guys as soon as I can. And we'll see you tomorrow morning for more news in the Fourth Reich. Brianna says, I'm obsessed with TikTok Shop, fully replaced that South American river themed company. The thing about TikTok Shop that I'm having a problem with, and then I'm out, is like if you want to sell certain products, you have to get like an authorization. So I have many products. You're welcome to go to stanwithsophie.com and see my gear lists and recommended things you might need. But I'm having a hard time actually selling them to you directly because I don't know why they don't approve every single product, so I can't sell like electrical items. Like I have a radio that I sell that is solar powered. It has a phone charger. It has a hand crank if you can't even use the solar power option. It's got a battery so you can charge it up, keep it charged in case you need it. Um, it's got an alarm on it. It's got a flashlight on it. It's a dope little gadget that's very helpful in a pinch or if you're going hiking or whatever. And I can't even sell that on here because they won't allow me to get past this invite only stage or whatever. So I'm working on it, guys. So, definitely follow my TikTok shop because there will be products coming soon if I can get that sorted out. Mike, he's got the ice tip line. All right, sure. Let's see. Yeah, have a great day, wireless. That's hilarious. All right. So I will see you guys tomorrow morning for more news in the Fourth Reich from the future. All right. Bye, friends.